Well, I'm giving not a paper, but a compilation, for which again we are grateful to Yvonne, who's given us all the stories from the Bodleian, unpublished by him, and the poem. She's even now been and copied out for us all the publishers' letters, the correspondence between Barbara and the publishers in the wilderness years. And we are going to read them as a compilation with extracts from the diary also and Barbara's own letters. Tim is going to read all the men, Tim Burnett, and I'll read the links and Barbara. I'm afraid I had a cataract operation recently and I can't read through this eye, so I'm sorry, Rich, I'm going to have to put out the pilot patch, which is the most character. So, Barbara composed Some Tame Gazelle in her early 20s at home in Shropshire after graduating from Oxford. She finished the novel in 1935 and had it professionally typed and bound. Then, her diary recalls, 23rd of November 1935, my novel was sent to Chatto and Windus yesterday. But on the 6th of December, yesterday my novel was rejected by Chatto, but they wrote me a very nice letter. I wasn't as depressed as I thought I'd be, and even looked forward to cutting and improving it. 20 December. Today I had 2 stories rejected by the London Mercury, so that I only needed my novel back from Gollancz to complete everything. It came back from Gollancz. 29 December. At present I am depressed. I want a Libra, but I would be satisfied if my novel could be published. This first version of Some Tame Gazelle was rejected by Chatto and Windus, Gollancz, Macmillan, Methuen, and others. In 1936 she sent it to Jonathan Cape and received this reply.
Dear Madam, I have been very interested in reading your Some Tame Gazelle. Personally, I have enjoyed it, but it is likely that it may just misfire and fail to attract any large body of readers. I am sending the MS back to you, but I shall be glad to see it again if you will spend a little time over it in giving attention to the following suggestions.
These included choice of place and personal names, relationships between certain characters, the verification of quotations, and the profusion of underlines. He ended,
if you will give consideration to these minor criticisms, I shall be pleased to see the MS again, and I think that I may be able then to offer to publish it.
Barbara wrote in her diary, August 1936, I had a letter from J. Cape saying that he was interested in my novel, The Some Tame Gazelle, and thought he might be able to offer to publish it if I would make some alterations. They're quite minor ones, so I hope I shall soon be able to send it off again. And then, I dare not hope too much, but it would be marvellous if he took it. And she wrote to Henry Harvey, also in August. I dare say Jock has told you about Jonathan Cape and my novel. He's going to consider it again after I've made a few alterations. They're quite minor ones, but so wearying to do. I'm greatly cheered about this, but only vaguely hopeful. But all the same, I should probably cry if Cape don't take it. But Cape refused the revised version. 2 years later, Robert Liddell wrote to Pym about an author's party at Cape's that he had attended, and she wrote to him, how can you shake that false crisp by the hand when you think how he has ruined my life? And in her diary in April 1940, writing is not quite now the pleasure it used to be. I'm no longer so certain of the glorious future as I used to be, though I still feel that I may ultimately succeed. Perhaps the Home Front novel I'm dabbling with now will get published. Perhaps. In 1949, she sent an amended manuscript of Some Tame Gazelle to Jonathan Cape, and this time he accepted it, publishing it in 1950. Through the next 11 years, he published her next 5 novels. After these years of happy collaboration, the following letter may perhaps have been the writing of a wall for Barbara. The publishers were looking at the figures. Cape to Barbara Pym after publication of her 4th novel, Less Than Angels, in 1955.
I've been looking through the royalty statements, which will be sent out on October 1st. Yours is not exactly exciting, but all I can say is I hope you will go on writing. Sometimes it takes a long time before one strikes the popular fancy. There are signs that you are getting a definite public, but the process is slow. I hope you will not be discouraged.
Jonathan Cape himself died in 1960, and the firm was reorganised, becoming much changed. In December 1962, Barbara received a letter from N. Astley, sales manager of Jonathan Cape.
We are sorry to report that the sales of STG, EW, J&P and LTA appear to have practically finished, and as there is considerable pressure on our warehouse space, we consider it necessary to dispose of the existing stocks as remainders. There are approx 34 bound copies of STG, 13 bound copies of EW, 77 bound copies of J&P, and 701 bound copies of LTA. In accordance with the terms of the agreement, we are writing to inquire if you would care to purchase any copies before we dispose of the stocks. The prices we shall obtain will, in all probability, be less than the original costs of buying. We shall be willing to let you have as many copies as you require at 1 6 each, and would appreciate hearing from you within the next 2 weeks.
Robin replied a week later, Dear Mr. Askew, I know the sales of my books are very small, but it seems a bit drastic to get books remainders. Would you not consider keeping a few copies of STG and EW and disposing of JP and LTA, which do seem to be taking up more than their fair share in the warehouse? Anyway, I don't suppose the author has much to say on the matter, so would you please let me have half a dozen of each book to decide to remainder? Askew replied a month later,
I'm happy to inform you that Mr. Wren Howard has instructed me to agree to your request of not selling off as remainders 34 copies of STG and 13 copies of EW.
Barbara's diary in early 1963 shows her excitement in finishing her 7th novel, which finally is this one. This is an extract from a letter to Philip Larkin in February. I sent my novel to Kate last week, but don't know yet what they think of it. I fear it can hardly come out of Catch-22 or The Passion Flower, the 7 qualities, but I hope they will realise that it is necessary for a good publisher's list to have something milder. I will certainly let you have a proof copy when it gets to that stage. But, alas, in March she received this letter from G. Wren Howard of Kate's. By now Tom Mashler is listed among directors on the letterhead.
Dear Miss Penn, I feel that I must first warn you that this is a difficult letter to write. Several of us here have now read, not without pleasure and interest, the typescript of your new novel, An Unsuitable Attachment, and have discussed it at considerable length, but have unanimously reached the sad conclusion that in present conditions we could not sell a sufficient number of copies to cover costs, let alone make any profit. All costs have now increased so much that it is necessary to sell many more copies than ever before to break even. Our difficulties in publishing fiction have also been greatly increased by the disappearance of Smith's circulating libraries and the reduction in Booth's libraries, and also by the steady decline in the sales of novels in Commonwealth markets. This is particularly marked in the case of Australia. You will, I am sure, appreciate how distasteful it is for me to have to write to you in this strain after publishing a number of your novels and always having maintained a particularly friendly author-publisher relationship. But in fairness to this company and to my colleagues, I feel I cannot do otherwise. With the greatest possible regret, therefore, the typescript is being returned to you separately. Yours sincerely.
Barbara's reply 2 days later. Dear Mr. Wren Howard, thank you for your letter of 19th March. Your decision not to publish my book is a bitter disappointment to me, and I am also most distressed at the way in which I have been treated. I never thought that a publishing house with the high reputation which Kate has always enjoyed could behave like this to one of its authors. I have been with you for 13 years, published 6 books, and built up a small but secure reputation which has been, I think, to our mutual benefit. I should be grateful if this letter could be shown to Mr. Michael Howard and Mr. Mashler, and whoever else may have been concerned with this. Then in her diary 3 days later, to receive a bitter blow on an early spring evening, such as that Kate doesn't want to publish an unsuitable attachment, but it might be that someone doesn't love you anymore. Is it worse than on an autumn or winter evening? 1963 so far, a year of violence, death and blows. My novel rejected by Kate. From Wren Howard on the 3rd of April.
I have read and reread several times your letter dated March 21st. I feel that it would be impolite not to acknowledge your letter, though there is nothing more I can add to what I originally wrote. I am truly distressed that you should feel that you have been unfairly treated, and I most sincerely sympathise with your feeling of great disappointment. I have also again been carefully through the accounts of all 6 books, have checked the results, and can now confirm that the losses incurred in publishing some of them almost exactly equaled the modest profit derived from the others. Thus, while we may not exactly have lost any money, we have not made any as a result of publishing these 6 novels. And a publisher, unhappily, cannot afford merely to break even. He must somehow, in order to survive, make some profit.